All right, so on this one, we're going to do is I'm just going to show you how to kind of animate things really simply inside for some other stuff. Okay, so before we did for the player here, right? If I just do grab another one, we just replaced the sprite, which is pretty straightforward. What I would like to do maybe is adjust some of the other elements here. So if we go to point, which is apparent, oh, that's why I can't see it. It's behind the car here. Okay, so if I go to the point, I can add some animations to this as well. So what I don't want to do is do it right here because I've got to do it in the prefab. Because if you look, remember it's blue, it's a prefab. So what I'm going to do is hit open and do it inside of here. That way it's actually on the, it'll affect all of them, okay? So just make sure if you're in prefab that you go into the prefab. So I'm going to hit create. And all I'm going to do, we're just going to do ring underscore spin. Oops, not spine, spin. And all we're going to do is literally just animate it spinning. So we could do this a couple different ways. I could actually, this is what I used to do with a few in the past, but I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I used to just go like this. I used to just scale it down and then back up. Because if you go like this, it looks like it's spinning, right? I mean, you can tell. But we'll actually spin it, because why not, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to add property. We're going to go to transform, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to do rotation. So it's a little plus in rotation. All right. Let's make it the same as everything else. Let's do, actually, before we do this, let's delete this guy. Then we'll make this 6. Good. Okay. Okay, so let's see. This is, the rotation is currently at 0. So all I'm going to do is go to the end here. I'm going to double click. Make sure my time slider's over it. Oh, let's make sure I'm in record mode. Make sure my time slider's over it. And all I'm going to do is on Y, because I want to spin this way. So if I hit E, I want to spin on the green one here. I don't know if there's any way to let you know that. There's no. Nah, that stinks. Okay, well, it's the green one. Another way to look at it is if you hit W, see the green one here, that's the Y. So we want to spin on that like that's the pivot. Okay, so anyways, it's Y. So anyways, I want to spin on Y. So I'm actually going to type in 360. So it goes a full revolution. You see what I'm saying? So let's hit play and see what that looks like. It's probably going to be too fast. Yeah, it's a little too fast. So to make it a little bit longer, I'm gonna use my scroll wheel and I'm gonna scroll back in the time slider so I can see more. And I think it should take about twice as long. So right now we're at this 1. Let's go to 2. And now let's hit play. Still feel like it's a little slow or a little fast. Let's go to 3. Yeah, that's a little better. Okay. Now the other problem I'm having is you might notice is that it's what we call easing in and out of the motion. So if you watch it, what you'll notice is that it starts slow, goes faster, and then slows down. Which most of the time that's what you want for most of your motions. Usually most things will speed up and slow down. But in fact, I kind of want it to just be linear. So it just goes one consistent speed constantly. Okay. So I'm gonna stop that. We've been working what's called the dope sheet. Okay. So yeah, it doesn't really help you. Basically, the dope sheet just shows the frames like this, and it's really easy to work with. But if you want to have more nuance or affect it a little bit more, you can use the curves, okay? So if you're used to 3D, it's called the graph editor. Sometimes they just call it the graph. But the idea here is that it actually shows you the motions. I'm going to scroll up here. Let's do it like this. Okay. I'm just going to pull this up so I can see it. And we'll pull it this way. The nice thing is, too, it actually shows you how it repeats because this action is going to keep repeating. So this is the actual animation, and this is just it showing how it's looping, okay? So basically, all the graph editor is it shows you time. So this is time, okay? And this is value, okay? So if you look, you can see where this is at 360. See how it says 300 and then 400? So basically, it's showing how the numbers are changing. So if I took this, and if this was completely flat, there'd be no change, and there'd be no animation. So if you look, you see this cyan one here? That means on that axis, there is no motion. There's no movement down here. So anything that's flat is no movement. The more diagonal, or I shouldn't even say the more diagonal, the more vertical, the more movement, because the more change there is over time, right? So if you see it starts out flat, that means it doesn't move a lot. Then it moves faster, 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 and then it becomes kind of flat again up here, and then it moves slower. That's kind of the lump sum of it. Now, We can do this a couple different ways. Let's just do this though, because it's probably easiest. I'm going to grab this handle here. Oh, it's not weighted. And I'm just going to make it straight. Okay, you can also do this if it's a little bit easier. You right click over top of it and go to left tangent and go to linear, and that will make it straight. I'm going to grab this one, and then I can right click over top of it. And while we want to do right tangent, because they're going to the right, and we would do linear, and that would make it straight. And now you see it's a straight line, which means it moves at the same speed from the beginning to the end. Now you might notice it goes right down. That's because we're going from 0 to 360, and then it starts at 0 again, and then 0 again. But where 360 is basically where 0 is, because it's going to look the same. So that's why that looks like that. Normally you wouldn't want that, but in this case it's actually fine. Okay, so that's the idea behind it. Now if I go to Dope Sheet, well, you can actually do it in Cursive. If I hit play, you're going to see it moves at one consistent speed. It's not easing into the motions anymore. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. So that's pretty cool. So we did a little bit of, a little bit of rotation here. Woo. All right, so I'm going to call that good. And now we have a coin that spins. Now, that's just always going to animate. We're not going to do anything more to it. I'm not going to add any other states. I'm literally just going to let it be like that, because that just makes sense. I was just thinking of something like a Sonic or something. So I'm going to hit this little back button here to go back. And now what I want to do is I want to do the health here. Okay, so with the health here, again, this is another, I thought it was, okay. That's another prefab. So I'm just going to click on open, and now we're inside of it. What I want to do with this one, because I'm just trying to do a little bit different each time, is I want to animate it moving up and down, like just kind of like a little hover kind of thing. But I can't animate this position going up and down. The reason being is that it's going to put numbers up here, right? So let's say right now it's at -4 and then minus 38.18, right? When I go back into my scene, if I move them over here, the animation is going to kick in and go, nope, it goes here, and then it's just going to start going up. And no matter where I put it, it's always going to snap back, because it's going to want to put those numbers. It's going to want to put those numbers right here. So it's going to snap to a specific spot no matter where you put it, which means if I put multiple lives other places, they're all going to snap right there. So what I need to do is this. I need to instead do this. I'm going to create an empty, okay? And we're just going to call this, actually, so we're creating an empty. Call the original one life. Yeah, call that one life. And then we'll call this one life underscore graphic, okay? And you can see it's automatically parented to it because we're inside of a thing. I'm going to go to this one on the sprite renderer. I'm going to right click over top of it and just go copy component. And then I'm going to right click over it and remove component. So I'm removing the graphic part of this, but I need the rest of it. Now I'm going to go to the life graphic, and I'm going to right click. You have to right click over top of, if you have other ones in here, but just to transform this case. And we're going to go paste component as new. And now that graphic that we originally had is right here, but it's underneath this. And the reason why we want to do that is that now we can place this wherever we want. That's totally fine. But I can animate this underneath it, and this is parented to this. So if this moves, it's got to move to wherever this guy is. So we're free to animate this object any way I want. So with the graphic selected, hit create, and we'll call this life underscore, I guess, hover. I don't know. That seems fine. All right, and we're going to add a property, transform. Come on, transform, and we're going to do position. Great. Let's delete that. Let's do 6, and we did 3 last time. So let's go ahead and make sure we're on record. God bless it. That's not what I meant. Record, and we'll double click here. Okay. So what I want is actually, oh no, see, that's not actually what I want. That's only 3 frames. We want to go to like 3 seconds. So I'm going to, use my scroll wheel and back up here. Okay. So now we want the start and the end to be the same because he's got to go up and then back down. So now at the halfway mark, which would be, I think here, would it be, I don't know, right here. at here, which is the halfway mark, so that's what it's telling me. Here, I'm going to double click in here, and then I'm just going to move it up a little. So now, if you hit play, I feel like we could actually make this a little bit quicker. Let's take this, click and drag like this, and hit play. I think that's better. Okay. So now, it's just going to go up and down. Okay? And that's it. Stop it. So we only animated basically just the position of it going up and down. And that is on the graphic that's underneath this. So I can move this wherever I want. See how there's no animation attached to this? But if you look at this one, well, it's not showing it now. Why are you not showing it? There you go. See how it's showing the animation here? Okay. So now what I'm going to do is back this out, and the animation now, I can move this where I want, right? Because the animation is on this graphic underneath. So I can move, to give you a point, like watch this. I can move this, let's say here, and if I hit play, you're going to see that it's just going to hover right there, okay? See it hovering? It's going up and down, right? Looks great. Now watch this, though. Let's undo that movement, and let's instead grab the graphic and move it over here, right? So it's just above, it's right between the trees. Watch this. Where'd it go? It's right back here, because this has this animation that's being applied to it. See it right here? And so it's automatically going to go to 0 on X, and it's going to do this Y here. So, but this one I am free to move because it's not being driven by anything. Anyway, so that's what we want to do. So let's just 0 that back out. 0, 0. Okay, great. All right, so now that looks fine. We got those done. The last one to do is the enemy here. Now, we don't have to do anything special with this, but let's go ahead anyway. And I'm going to go ahead and open. All right, so on the enemy, I got kind of the same situation as before where I want to do... So here's the problem. I'll just show you. So the way that we have this set up is that he goes this way. He's going to bump into this. He's going to try and go this way, right? But the way we do that is we use scale, and that's actually what I want to animate. I want to animate him scaling kind of up and down like a squash and stretch as he travels. So I can't... I got basically the same problem I have here where if I animate that, it won't allow the code to flip him. Because what the code does is it flips him on X. It takes his X value of the... Let me get to it. Of this, and it makes this -1 or +1 depending on the direction. So what I got to do is basically the same thing I just did. So I'm going to select this, hit open. We have the enemy here, okay? I'm just going to go ahead and create, create an empty actually. It's easier, I think. And we'll call this one the enemy underscore graphic. So I know what it is. We're going to put this right underneath the enemy part of it, okay? So it's underneath it. Go here, right click, copy component, right click, remove component. Usually I wait to paste it and then I'll remove it, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it now. And then we'll paste component as new. Great, okay? And now what we can do is we'll just add the animation to this part that's riding underneath this. So this will still be the driver, okay? So make sure you have the graphic selected, create. And see, this one didn't. I don't know why it's random. Okay, and we'll call this enemy underscore locomotion. All right. So you don't have to do these exactly as though I'm doing them. It's just, so you can see how to do it. And add property, and we're going to do transform. And this time I'm going to just do scale. Now you can do all of them. Watch. So I could do this, and I could do add another property, transform, and do position. You can add as many as you like. You can add the sprite, all sorts of them. Okay, I'm just doing one at a time because that's all I really knew. I just right click and remove properties. So anyway, that's fine. Let's delete this guy. And we're going to make this 6 again, just so that it's all the same. And I'm going to use my scrolly wheel here. And I'm thinking probably 2 seconds makes sense. So I'm going to let's record 2. I'm going to double click at 2 seconds. And then right at the halfway mark, I'm going to double click in here. I'm going to put it over this because this is the one I want to change. So I grab my thing over this. And what I'm going to do is, actually, you know what? I want to, yeah, we're going to go over this. And I want to do this. So if I hit R, I can scale a little bit. So I'm picturing pushing it down a little bit and scaling it wide a little bit. Okay. So basically it goes like this. But I want to make it real subtle because that's too much. So what I'm going to do is do 0.05 and then we'll do 0.95. So it's not a lot. And then on this one, I'm going to do, let me see, which one was, okay. We're going to do 0.95 and 1.05. I'm just trying to do basically the opposite. So where I lose, 0.05, I add 0.05. And I'm going to do the same thing here. So this will be 0.95 and then 1.05. And let's hit, well, the play up there will probably work too, but. All right, so it's pretty subtle. Let's make it quicker actually. So let's take this and we'll put this like here. Oops. So we'll put that at 3 and then see what that looks like. Oops. Yeah, that's fine. So we'll say that's good. I'm gonna stop the recording. Try that again. Stop the recording, and then we'll just back up out of this. Click on here. And we'll play the game, and we should hopefully see our enemy squashing and stretching. Well, maybe I can see it better here. So if you can see he's kind of squashing and stretching up and down a little bit while moving. Our little coins moving, our guys being animated, right? It's all great. Oh, I was kind of wanting to see the heart. But anyway, you get the idea. So now all the other elements have animation. You can see you can animate things right inside of this animation tab. You can actually animate whole characters. So if you made them in a bunch of pieces that are parented to each other, like you would do in another program, you can actually animate all of it right inside of Unity. And there's actually strength to that because what it allows you to do is why is that not killing him? What it allows you to do is that like you could actually affect it in code as well. So you could have something being driven by animation, but then also have the code driving specific body parts. Think like, you have a game and you like, let's say it's a shooter game, but if you get shot, all of a sudden the player turns into, what do they call that? The ragdoll, right? You have ragdoll physics. So because the skeleton's in the game, it allows you to apply the physics in there. As well as put the animation in there. So there's some strength with actually doing it in the game as opposed to like just replacing sprites, which is very static and stiff. It's not dynamic. Anyway, that's good. So we'll call that one good. And then the next one we'll do is actually hook up our player graphics so that they allow us to, do other things, right? So that we can actually have it work.